Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining in. My name is Grace, and I'm the social media manager here at Proxify. And today we are just going to be answering all of your questions that you have about joining Proxify. So, if you are a developer and you've had Proxify on your radar for quite a while and you've been interested in joining, but you have numerous questions on how to join, on what the projects are like, on how we match talents to clients, this is like the very perfect place for you to be at. So on this live today, we have Sandra joining us. Um, Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Grace. Thank you so much
you
for the lovely intro.
Thank you for being here. So Sandra is going to be answering all of our questions that we have. We received a couple of questions, and we're going to jump right into them briefly. But Sandra, do you mind giving us a brief intro about yourself and the amazing work that you do at Proxify?
Of course, of course. Thank you, Grace. My name is Sandra. I am 31 years old and I am functional recruitment lead in Proxify. I've been in this recruitment business for almost 11 years, 11 years to be precise. And yeah, looking forward to answering all questions that the developers might have.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. So we're just going to jump right into it. We got some questions beforehand. Yeah. So the first question is, how can I join Proxify? This was the first question that we received. So I'm guessing you're going to give a brief, summary of the process, because we have so many other questions that would require a dive, like deep dive into it. So yeah.
Yeah, very good question, and of course, it's the opening question of today's topic, and about, of course, getting into Proxify. So, the moment you just open on the website, there is a specific, specific button that actually asks you to apply if it is for developers or if it is for customers, and you can start with the application form where you need to fill a bit of simple answers about your experience, your profile, your background, of course, to fill in some contact details such as your name, your surname, your country of residence, of course, your main tech stack, and you have the opportunity actually to record yourself video, and also to you have also the option to submit a test, which is completely optional, so that we can like validate the technical knowledge or the level of seniority before we even start with the hiring process. That is usually the first step, just going on our website, filling in the application form. It doesn't take longer than, I would say, 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. It's completely optional for you to record the video or to just complete the 5 minute test based on your tech stack, and then voila, you are in the system, and one of our dedicated recruiters will be able to see your resume, and of course invite you for a first screening interview.
Okay. That's amazing. Thank you so much for answering the question. So yeah, next up, one of the questions that we have right here is what tech stacks do I need to join Proxify, or what tech stacks are you looking for? So can you share a bit on that?
Yeah. So we work, I would say, with the latest trends when it comes to tech stacks. We cover almost all branches, from full stack, front end, back end, DevOps, data scientists, data engineers, and also all programming languages. But we're heavily focused, I would say, on the standard CSS, HTML, JavaScript, Java, PHP, Symfony, Ruby on Rails, What else? Of course, DevOps with cloud technologies, Amazon Web Services, Azure, Python for sure, Python for data science and for data engineering, Symfony, Laravel. We cover almost all tech stacks. I don't know if I answered the question correctly, but this is the
You definitely did. So basically, we don't like have specific ones that we are looking for. We are not focusing on just some stacks. If you have, any stack you have, just come, you find any available job opportunity that is related to that. So yes.
and
Thank you.
mobile game development. I completely forgot to mention this.
Game
Game
development as
development,
well.
Unity, yeah, Unity quite popular. So basically, whatever your tech stack is, we will try and make sure to find you the ideal match for you.
All right then. So next up, this is a very important question, and we've said this a lot, and we got to like ready for this event, and that's what are the perks and benefits of joining Proxify. Actually, this question was asked in two ways. The other one is why are you better than your competitors, but I think those similar, they're a bit different. So let's just start by telling them the amazing perks and benefits that we have when you
Yeah.
join Proxify. Yeah.
Very good question, and this is the most common question that usually developers are interested in when we see them and when we meet them on our screening interview. The perks and benefits, I would say, are one of, at least in my opinion, one of the best that I have ever seen in this remote era, in this remote business. The first thing is that we do not use any tracking tools. We focus on the output, on the delivery basically of the on the project. So we don't need any screenshots or time tracking softwares to validate how many hours you work throughout the day. You just agree on a particular working schedule that is most convenient to you and the client, and yes, you just focus on the delivery. Another thing is career growth and development. So for sure that developers who have proven themselves to be an exceptional professional are fast tracked to future positions. What does that mean? That means that, for instance, if you are on a project for 1 year and the client really liked your performance, but unfortunately maybe the project ended, you will be fast tracked to future positions because you will be, let's say, labeled as a top-notch professional. Other thing that is very much beneficial for developers is that the companies that we cooperate with usually are young companies, and that means that there is a limited amount of legacy code. Um, the fourth benefit that it's worthwhile to actually know is of course the continuity and longevity. What does that mean? That means that, for instance, a full-time project in Proxify approximately lasts for 1 year, I would say. When you compare this with other platforms, or let's say with other competitors, usually they have a shorter project. So we cover full-time, part-time, and of course gigs. But since the majority, let's say the dominant projects that we have are full-time, the stability is also a very good factor and a very good benefit for the developers. And maybe one more I can add, which is actually work from anywhere. As long as you are in the same time zone as the client is, and as long as you have reliable and stable internet connection, mm, like the location is not a problem at all, and you can work from anywhere you want.
Yeah, that's amazing. I personally, I mean, I work at Proxify, so I may be biased, but I think that those are amazing, amazing perks to have. The fact that you're not plagued with the need to fulfill the time tracking, for example. That says a lot about trust and how Proxify and the client trust you to do your job at the set time, as well as the freedom you have to work from anywhere across the globe, as well as not having to struggle with legacy codes and all of that. These are
Yeah.
really amazing perks and benefits. So yeah, to the next question. The next question, which is very popular because it's money related, and it's this: what are the average salary rates?
Yes, a very good question. And I have to mention here that we tend to, create decisions by making sure that it is led by data. So when it comes to salary rates, we have a dedicated team that is working, that actually built an algorithm that calculates hourly rates based on years of experience, years of total working experience, years of working experience with that particular tech stack, country of residence, the score that you had on the technical assessment, the feedback after the technical assessment on the interview with technical interviewer, and it's very much accurate and I would say data driven calculator for the salary rates. But if I have to provide, of course, a number, I would say that the average rates currently we are discussing the option to provide the flexibility to choose between hourly and fixed. Right now, it's still on an hourly rate. We're asking developers their hourly rate, and it goes approximately from 25, 30 euros per hour to 45, 50 euros per hour.
Hmm. Those are pretty fair, I
Yeah.
must say. So yeah, there you go. There you have it. If you've always wondered, what the rates are, they are really impressive and competitive rates on the market. So there you go. Next up, the next question that we have right here is um this.
Does Proxify
Provide
provide?
equipment, do we? Yeah.
Well, to be very honest with you, I really don't know currently the answer to this question because I haven't had the chance to actually discuss this internally within the team because I'm still new. And of course, 3 months in, I didn't have any candidate that was asking me this question. But I believe that yes, we do provide some kind of, assistance when it comes to equipment for developers.
Okay.
But I need
Thank
to like double check, and maybe I can even like later on I can share this information with you guys.
All right, all right. Thank you. So the next question that would like to answer is, how long is the hiring process at Proxify? This is one of our
Oh,
most asked questions.
yes, and also one of the best questions. And I will connect this question to the previous question that was mentioned, Grace, in terms of like why are we better than our competitors. So the first reason is actually the hiring process, the efficiency. Other, let's say, competitors tend to have like really long, exhausting hiring processes. And here in Proxify, we tend to provide an offer within 2 weeks tops. Sometimes it happens that it's actually a few days. It depends, of course, on the availability of our calendars to schedule a technical interview, and of course, in terms of the timeline when the candidate submits their technical assessment. But for instance, if you have the screening let's interview today, and you are processed to the next stage, which is the technical assessment, the very day, the same exact day. If you submit the assessment by the next day, in one day, and if you manage to schedule a technical interview with one of our technical interviewers in the, let's say, upcoming 2 or 3 working days, probably if everything goes well, you should receive an offer very quickly, like 24 to 48 hours tops. I would say that in all, like an estimation would be 2 weeks.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Which is a fair time, depending on how fast you are with like your assessments and your tests and all. So yeah, thank you very much
Yeah.
for that. The next question that we have here is about switching between, which I think you've touched on, but we can just answer this question specifically. So, do I have to work full time? Can I switch between full time and part time? So I think what this question is about flexibility between the type of engagements and projects that we have. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So we provide the flexibility of developers choosing what suits them best. In the screening interview, we always ask their preference, whether they want a full-time opportunity, part-time, or they maybe want to, transition from part-time to full-time, or maybe they would just like to see how it's like in on the platform to navigate, or maybe to take on 1 or 2 gigs just to test it out to see how it looks, and then of course to get assigned to a full-time opportunity. It's totally flexible as long as of course it is agreed with the client, and if this is okay with the client, then there's no reason not to have this kind of flexibility.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for the question. Um, so another question that we have right here, let me try to find it. Oh yeah, which is one I shared with you in the beginning, is why we're better than our competitors.
Yeah, my favorite one. Well, uh, it's healthy to have competition, and it's healthy to have competitors. I was using, before I joined Proxify, I can just speak from my own experience. I was using a lot of platforms as well, like remote platforms like Upwork, other ones I know developers are using, like TopTal and etc. etc. I noticed that, for instance, other platforms are charging for a specific fee from the contractor side, just because you found the project through the platform, and just because you are receiving the transaction through the platform. I think the biggest benefit in Proxify is that the amount that you agree on at the very beginning is the amount that you receive in the very end.
Mm,
Um, in my opinion, that's one of the biggest benefits. Another thing is the hiring process. It's very much data driven. We don't have, layers and layers, stages and stages on top of stages, because I know a lot of people in my network, and I have a bunch of friends that are developers. They are complaining constantly about long, extensive processes, and of course, too long of negotiations when it comes to, salary or hourly rate.
yeah.
In Proxify, it's much more simple. It's simplified. It's sticking to the context, to what you know best and where you want to go. And the third reason, I believe, is also like um, the community. Because when you join the platform, it's not only you, it's a bunch of like-minded people such as yourself that are there on the platform with the same purpose and with the same goal. So you get the chance to meet really cool people. You get the chance to share and exchange knowledge. And of course, you have a dedicated community management team that is here for you. And also, from recently, the newest update that we have in Proxify is career coaching. So, which is something that I'm not very much aware that exists in the other places or our competitors.
Yeah, true. Especially the career coaching one. That's a very unique benefit that we offer. One of the
Yeah,
reasons why we're better, and the transparency with the payments as well. The transparency with the rates, how much you earn, what you agree upon is what you get paid at the end of the day. I think those are two huge benefits that we have. Um, so yeah, you really articulated that very well.
thank you.
The next question is, can I work two engagements at Proxify? So does Proxify allow you to work on two engagements at once?
Yeah. One more benefit. You say like
Oh, okay.
people are reminding me on the
Also
benefits.
benefits.
Yeah. Well, another benefit is that actually you are totally allowed and flexible to, as long as you can work in parallel with other gigs or other projects that you have on the side. It's totally okay to work on two engagements. I always say this to developers that even in the first screening call, we encourage you not to resign your current job or like your current projects that you are managing until you are, let's say, given a project from Proxify and you are 100% sure that you like the project so much that you really want to devote yourself fully on it. But it's totally okay if you have two, three projects, in parallel that you are working on or managing with, as long as you make sure to deliver on the one in Proxify, and as long as you care about the output and the performance and the communication with the client.
Mm, okay. Which I think is also pretty good.
Yeah.
So you can do all of your business in one, all of your engagements in one. You don't have to like run two concurrent, um, engagements.
Yeah.
Um, this is another question that is also important. Do I need to pass the tech test or the interview with the clients so to get in? So is it compulsory or like yeah?
Mm-hmm. Also, very good question. We try and we aim to do everything, let's say, on our side, and that's why we are building the relationship and the trust with the clients, the reputation and the image that we want to maintain. That they trust us and they leave us, let's say, do everything for them until, let's say, the last part, which is actually the match and meet meeting with the client. But of course, we also have some other clients that prefer to at least have one stage from their side, or maybe to have, some kind of informal technical conversation with like a person from their own team. And that is also very much like fair. So it depends, but I would say 90% of the time, it is the standard hiring process in Proxify, which is screening call, technical assessment, technical interview with a technical interviewer from Proxify, and then meeting with the client.
Okay. That was actually really explanatory. So basically, this depends. This is not a one size fit all answer. It depends on the preference of the client or maybe the kind of engagement that you're going to be getting. That determines, your tech test and your interview and all. So thank you. So the next question that we got is what happens if you don't have any projects for me? So I'm guessing, they joined and passed the process, the screening process, and now they are now members, and maybe there's no open roles or open engagements for them or their stack at the
Yeah.
moment. So yeah, so what happens if you don't have any projects for me?
Yeah. Oh, very good question. The moment you enter on our platform, or the moment you're invited to join Proxify's platform, that also does not mean that you are instantly given a project, because it might happen that, let's say, with this particular tech stacks, or let's say we had a bunch of projects related to that tech stack, but of course, we provided them with a great people to work on those projects, and it might happen from time to time that we don't have any available projects for a particular tech stacks, but that happens, I would say, rarely, and we are constantly monitoring the demand versus supply, because also we have a dedicated client management team and dedicated sales team. So the moment we're seeing like a decrease in a particular region, or let's say in Latam region projects or DACH or Benelux, we are trying to increase and raise the bar by, of course, onboarding more clients from this specific region. And it might mean that it will take some time, but for sure, you're in the platform and you will see the first moment when there is a project. You will either be contacted by someone from our community management team, or you can just do it yourself by applying to the available position when it will be published on the platform.
Okay. So the next question that we have here is for those interested in working part time. So for working part time, can I work on weekends or evenings? So maybe what the schedule is like.
Exactly. So this is completely okay. As I said before, uh, as long as it is okay with the client, as long as, let's say, uh, the two parties or the two sides share the same positive feeling that a positive cooperation is about to start, there shouldn't be any kind of challenge. If this is okay with the client, and if this is okay with the developer, if he or she prefers to work on weekends or evenings, why not? Totally okay.
Mm, okay. So next question is how often can I access the career coaching and support?
Well, since this is a new update that we have in Proxify, I really don't want to like say something that might be wrong here, but I assume that like you can access it the moment you feel like needing it. So that would be the answer.
Okay. So what's next question is what English language proficiency is required?
Yes, we have a leveling system for basically measuring the English proficiency, both on the screening interview and on the technical interview, so that we are aligned, let's say, when it comes to the level of proficiency that one candidate has. It is required to have, from, I would say, it is preferred to have advanced level of English proficiency, so more on a conversational, comprehensible level. But also, if your English proficiency is intermediate, it's not a problem, and we very much welcome people who evaluate themselves as candidates with intermediate English.
Mm, all right then. So next question I'm reading here is so can I apply even if I don't have a GitHub portfolio? So a lot of people have questions about having portfolios and all because in the application process we do have a space for linking your portfolio or maybe your
Yeah,
past. So is that how compulsory, how necessary is that?
totally okay. Totally okay to not have your GitHub portfolio, because regardless of you having or not having GitHub portfolio, we are going to assess you for your technical knowledge. That means the technical assessment and the technical interview. It would be preferred if you just have it, because sometimes it might happen that the client will not insist, but would prefer like having a link of your GitHub portfolio before meeting you.
Yeah.
So it's very much recommended, I would say, but it's not mandatory.
Okay. Recommended but not mandatory.
Yeah.
Next, this has to do with, I guess, career development or professional development. So the question is, can I grow to senior level or team lead?
Yeah, very good question. For sure, yes, we are very much up for career growth and development, and scaling the people that we call proxifiers. So when you are first invited to the screening interview, we always ask you like two or three questions that are related to leadership and managerial experience, such as, let's say, uh, have you ever managed a team before? How big of a team it was? How do you feel about taking a leadership role? And because some candidates, for instance, they had managerial experience, but they don't want to do it anymore. So for us, this is really important because if you show drive and ambition towards growing and scaling, and especially taking a lead role, we need to note it down so that, of course, we can actually work on your personal career growth and development plan as long as you are with us on the platform.
Mm, okay. Um, Thank you so much for answering the question. So before we get any more question or any extra question, do you have, so let me just ask you to share like tips that you look out for as a recruiter when recruiting talent, or when they're on screening calls with you. What do you look out for? So I mean, I didn't get any question like this, but this is a bonus for anyone who is interested and curious, so you can make sure you get your act right when you are interviewing. So, what do you look out for when recruiting or screening candidates to join Proxify?
Oh, very good question. Well, us recruiters, we are not technical people. And of course, there is a reason why we are recruiters, otherwise, we would be developers. But what we pay attention to is l- first things first, self presentation, and which I believe is a must have skill in almost any kind of profession.
Yeah.
Self presentation meaning that the moment you show up on the call, your energy, your attitude, your personality gives us insights whether we can present you to a client or not. Because the first question that comes to our mind as recruiters is this candidate good enough to actually be presented in front of a client?
Yeah.
That is the first tip. The second tip that I would suggest here is your answers. Sometimes, candid, especially technical people, they really want to leave a very good impression, but sometimes they forget that we are not that technical, and they go into details explaining everything, around the programming language, etc., etc. And this is also a challenge for everyone, not only tech people, but almost everyone, to know when your answers are becoming too long or too short or medium. I would say that the second tip that I would provide here is make sure that you pay attention to the time. If the call is scheduled, let's say, for half an hour, it shouldn't take longer than that. And also, it should not take, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes, because that means that probably you're not providing enough information. So a medium length of answers is always recommended. uh, Other tips, just explaining in a good summary your career ladder. um, so the industries that you were working with, the amount of projects you were managing, whether it was international companies, whether it was local companies, and the things that you like, the things that you find a bit challenging, and yes, most importantly, the drive behind your application in Proxify. So it is always good to see enthusiasm, to see spirit, to see um, um, energy when someone really wants to join, versus, let's say, people who are a bit more indifferent to the entire process. So client facing mindset, understanding also of business acumen is also very much recommended. and of course soft skills who are showing and manifesting like a high level, let's say, of emotional intelligence.
Mm. These are gems. You just dropped really priceless gems because I think that anyone who has listened to this and takes everything seriously and then applies to their screening calls, like the enthusiasm, the knowing when you've said too much or said too little, and like the business acumen and just all of it, they would definitely have great chances when they're being screened.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me just say hi to a few people in the comments. So we have Sylvia saying hello, and Noelia Jimenez Almanza agrees with you. Hi, she says attitude makes a huge difference, and definitely. So I think that's about it for this live. We've been here for quite a while. I think it's almost an hour now. And yeah, so you already shared. So maybe you can so you shared what you look out for
Mm-hmm.
in when screening on the call. So maybe finally before we wrap things up, just like summarize to three tips that you would give anyone, so even beyond the screening process right now, so you want to join Proxify, or just generally you are trying to land a remote job, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
are three tips that you would give any developer who is looking to get a remote job, you know?
um, Self presentation,
Mm,
of course, knowledge in the tech stack, and confidence also in the tools that, or in the programming languages that he or she was or is still working with. And the third thing that the third tip is um, confidence, but with always like a dose of humility and humbleness towards the person that you're speaking with, because we are here for you. We would like to see you in the platform. It's always nice to, kind of meet experienced, great minds, enthusiastic people who have confidence and who know their, worth on the market, but are also very much grateful for the discussion that they're having, and are having that kind of humility and humbleness mindset without being uh, slightly arrogant or egocentric due to the experience, or let's say not the experience, but yeah, I would connect it actually with the experience, because we're seeing this as well. The more experience you have, the more confident you become. Just
yeah.
pay attention so that it does not go into your ego.
Mm. That's very key. So we actually have one more question, and the question is about probation period.
Yep.
So in two ways, I think probation period as well. If there's a probation period for developers, and more focus on the one time joining. So do I leave, like, if a client if the client's relationship with the developer is expired, how do you work around that? Does that mean that their engagement with Proxify also ends? And also if there's a provision period.
Yeah, so coming back to the first question around probation period, yes, there is, I believe, a probation period of a minimum, I think, of 1 month to maximum 3 months. But also, it depends on the type of contract that we have with our clients. And second, when a project comes to an end, that does not mean that the cooperation with Proxify is terminated, because you are a person of Proxify. So, which means that if the project is coming to an end 3 months before, let's say, the deadline, you can start applying to new positions, to new opportunities that we have in the network. You can also share in our Slack channels that we have for developers. which is also highly recommended because that is also like a big portion of our community there. And the third thing is you can expect an answer or any kind of assistance from the community management team who will reach out to you to basically prepare you for onboarding and organize a few meetings with other clients.
Mm, okay. And there's a one more question I think before we go, and that's about tax. So does Proxify handle my tax, or do I handle my taxes?
A very also good question and very common one. You are in charge for your own taxes because the contract itself that we provide with you as a contractor is a consultancy type of agreement. Because we are a fully remote company, that means that we don't have a legal entity in the location where you are based. We have people from literally anywhere in the world, and it is a very difficult and complex logistics maneuver to open a hub or an office, so that we can like provide the option for paying the taxes as well. When we agree on a specific amount, that means that you are in charge for your own taxes and finding the most convenient option that works for you in your own country, in your own labor law system.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we've gone through all the questions finally, and thank you for those tips. They were really good and really amazing. And yeah, so there we have it for all those who've been interested in asking all these questions one way or the other, or in joining Proxify. I hope that you've learned a lot and gathered all of the information that you need to have a successful application and Proxify, and hopefully you become a Proxify member. And yeah, so that's it. And thank you so much, Sandra. And yeah, it's goodbye from this side. Don't forget, if you have any more questions, you can always send us DMs across our social media platforms, Proxify developers across all the channels on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram as well, or leave us comments. I will definitely be happy to answer your questions. So yeah, thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Ugochukwu.